Hello, thanks for joining me for Strange Random Facts. Some of these you may know, most of them I would think maybe, most of them I didn't know. Okay, did you know that cotton candy was invented by a dentist? I mean, crazy? That just seems totally unreal. Okay, but machine spun cotton candy was invented in 1897 by a dentist named William Morrison and a confectioner named John C. Wharton. And it was first introduced to a wide audience at the 1904 World's Fair, and they called it Fairy Floss. And it was met with great success. They sold 68,655 boxes at 25 cents a box. That's the equivalent of, in the year 2018, as if they sold them for $6.97 a box. Later, the name Fairy Floss was dropped here in the United States, but if you live in Australia, they still call cotton candy Fairy Floss. Okay, just before the Nazis invaded Paris, H.A. and Margaret Ray fled from Paris on bicycles. They were carrying the manuscript for Curious George, the children's story Curious George. With refugees pouring into Paris from the north, Mr. Ray, H.A. Ray, built 2 bicycles from spare parts, while Margaret gathered up their artwork and their manuscripts. They joined the millions of refugees heading south while German planes flew overhead. It says that the Rays found shelter in a farmhouse, then a stable, working their way to by rail to Bayonne, and then to, and I'm going to pronounce these wrong, I know, Biarritz by bicycle again. They were Jews, but because they were Brazilian citizens, it was easier for them to get visas. One official, perhaps thinking that because of their German accents they were spies, searched Mr. Ray's satchel. Finding Fifi and seeing it was only a children's story, he released them. They journeyed on to Spain and then to Portugal, eventually finding their way back to Rio. They've had a very narrow escape, Mr. Ray wrote when he telegrammed his bank. Baggage all lost, have not sufficient money in hand. The couple sailed to New York in October 1940, and Curious George, as Fifi was renamed, so Curious George used to be Fifi. I'm glad they kept Curious George and not Fifi. So they renamed Fifi Curious George. Okay, so the couple sailed to New York in October 1940, and Curious George, as Fifi, was renamed. The publisher thought Fifi was an odd name for a male monkey, and so do I. And he made his first appearance the following year. The Rays wrote a total of 8 Curious George books. Hans died in 1977, Margaret in 1996. The ensuing George books were created by writers and illustrators that imitated the Rays' style and art. Like Hans Reyersbach and Margaret Waldenstein, Miss Borden concludes, the little French monkey Fifi would change his name and it would become one to remember. So I am, for one, I'm just so glad that Fifi became Curious George. It didn't stay Fifi. I don't think it would have been as popular. Okay, in New York City, approximately 1,600 people are bitten by other humans annually. That is awful. That is hard to believe. Good gracious. Okay, a blue whale's heart is the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. It says its arteries are large enough that you and I could swim through them. I don't think I'd want to, though. 54 million people are alive right now. Okay, I don't even understand that one, so we'll move on. Okay, prairie dogs say hello by kissing. Who'd have thought? They say hello by kissing. Okay, in the year 1518, there was a plague of dancing, which was a case of dancing mania that occurred in Germany. People danced without rest for a month straight, some of them, and a lot of people dropped dead because and it was weird. If you get a chance to read about the dancing plague of 1518, I'd encourage you to do a little digging into that. Strange. Okay, humans share 50% of their DNA with bananas. So 50% of our DNA looks like the DNA of a banana. A mouse can fit through a hole the size of a ballpoint pen, and that's probably one reason I can't stand mice. They can get in anywhere from anywhere. So if they can fit through a hole the size of a ballpoint pen, then we're doomed. They're always getting in. It says the longest interval between the birth of twins is 87 days. Premature delivery of one or more multiples, 2 eggs implant and are fertilized at different times, and also fertility drugs can cause this to happen. Rain of fish is an annual weather event in which hundreds of fish rain from the sky onto the Honduran city of Yoro. It has been happening since the 1800s. Each year, a large storm rolls through with very heavy rain, and once the storm has passed, the streets are full of flopping fish. I cannot imagine that. Although I've came to work here and parked in the parking lot, and like after some storms and stuff, and I've seen little like crawfish, and also one day I saw a little fish. I don't know what kind it was, but it was sitting right beside my van as I was getting ready to get in. So somehow it was either picked up by wind or a bird or something dropped it. I don't know, but that's 2 little critters from the pond that I've seen on the parking lot. So anything is possible. It says in 1823, explorer and botanist Alexander von Humboldt wrote of the 1698 volcanic eruption of Mount Charihuarazo, and I cannot pronounce that at all. It's Charihuarazo, which apparently also covered 43 square miles, the surrounding country with mud and fish, possibly from an underground lake connected to the volcano. It says, by and large, reports of animal rain generally concern fish and frogs, but other far more disturbing reports have been told of birds, snakes, foot-long alligators, jellyfish, mice, spiders, and even a rain of flesh and blood. In some reports, the animals are already dead when they come crashing down to earth, while in others they are alive, and those that survive the fall, though, are surely discombobulated, and they hop or flop away. And I cannot imagine that. I would just run for the hills. My little brain just cannot even fathom that. It says the simplest explanation for these animal rains is that the large rainstorms that force certain animals out of their homes or flood rivers causes them to fill the streets. Another explanation is that a flash flood can deposit fish far from their waters before quickly drying up, leaving spectators to believe that the animals must have come down with the rains. While these may be the source of many animal rain reports, the Northern Territory News of Australia reported in February 2010 that food falling from the sky is more than a legend. It was reported that on February 25th and 26th, fish landed like rain in a town in Australia, which I'm not going to try to pronounce, 200 miles from the coast. Like the rain of fish in Yoro, it seems that, while extremely rare, animals do occasionally fall from the sky. The likely scientific explanation for this is elegantly simple, and the word is waterspouts. Waterspouts are like little tornadoes that form over a body of water. Though waterspouts do not suck water up into the air, the whirlwind of waterspouts and tornadoes have the ability to lift small animals from the water and into the air, in which case they can be carried quite far from their bodies of water and released somewhere else. And some tornadoes actually have the ability to suck up entire ponds. Overall, this hypothesis makes a lot of sense considering that most animal rains consist of aquatic creatures. In the case of reports of bird rains, the explanation is different. A flock of one species is overtaken by a particularly sudden and strong wind, blown around for a bit, killed, and as the wind dissipates, the birds fall from the sky. This also accounts for what might be the most horrific animal rain, which was called the rain of blood and flesh. In this case, the birds are so badly battered that they came down in pieces. Any other animal sucked up into a violent storm could also come back down to the earth just as guts. Although there are also cases where the rains of blood have turned out to be made by red dust, which is also a very simple explanation. In Yarrow, the explanation often offered up is a religious rather than a scientific one. Father Jose Manuel, a Catholic priest living in the area, prayed that God provided sustenance to the hungry people, and at the end of his marathon prayer session, it is said to have rained small fish. The festival, which began in 1998, is held in honor of the miracle. This miracle, and a parade is held where effigies of Father Jose Manuel are carried through the streets. Among the most mysterious elements of the rain of fish is that the fish themselves are not local to the area, and they may be coming as far away as as far away as the Atlantic Ocean, some 200 kilometers away, presumably brought by waterspouts that have sucked them into the sky. Oh, goodness. So, strange but true. All right, it says a woman is born with all the eggs she'll ever need to produce babies. So when your mama was born, she was already carrying the egg that would become you. Now that's fascinating. She didn't grow them later. She already had them. Okay, multiple Marlboro. Now this is not going to be any surprise. Multiple Marlboro men, Marlboro the cigarette, have died from lung cancer. That's not surprising, I guess. It says there's a basketball court above the Supreme Court that is known as the highest court in the land. It says that Janis Joplin left $2,500 in her will for her friends to have a ball after I'm gone. The total weight of all the ants on Earth is greater than the total weight of all the humans on the planet. A starfish can regrow their arms. A single arm can regenerate a whole body. So if the arm breaks off, the starfish will grow another arm, but that arm can generate a whole body, the arm that was broken off. That's interesting. It says humans, and this is a little gross, humans shed 40 pounds of skin during their lifetime. It says we completely replace our outer skin layer every month. Okay. Frederick Bauer invented the Pringles can, the can that Pringles chips go in. And it says when he passed away in 2008, his ashes were buried in one. It says vending machines kill 4 times as many people as sharks do every year. Over 1,700 reported injuries from vending machines each year, but fewer than 25 shark attacks per year are reported in the United States. The over age 64 group had a whopping 30% of the injuries from vending machines, while all school-age kids totaled less than 15%. A few more men than women have been injured by vending machines. 55% to 45%. The moral is never swim in vending machine infested waters. It says bubble wrap was originally designed to be a cool type of wallpaper, but it was invented in 1957 by engineers Alfred Fielding and Mark Chavannes in Hawthorne, New Jersey. It says Fielding and Chavannes sealed 2 shower curtains together, creating a smattering of air bubbles, which they originally tried to sell as wallpaper. But they perfected that a little more, and it became bubble wrap to ship items with. Okay, thank you for joining me for these strange but true random facts, and I'll see you the next time. Have a good day.